Because the act of reading and the act of writing both center around the verb, it's very important that our first lesson be to identify verbs. Today we're going to talk about two of the most common types of verbs. If you were to walk into any elementary school class in America and ask the students to define a verb, 30 hands would shoot up into the air and they would cry out, "A verb is an action word." This is true. However, this leaves out a whole category of verbs called state of being verbs. So for example, amongst common action verbs, we get words like to run, to walk, to laugh, to dream, to fly, to smile. Amongst the state of being verbs, we get words like to be, and all of its children is, are, was, were, am, been, being. However, there might be a more useful or simple way to identify a verb. You can think of a verb as a word that changes its form over time. So if you take a noun like cat, its form does not change over time. Its form changes only depending on whether we have one cat or 3 cats. But a verb changes with regard to time. Consider these common regular action verbs. The verb run changes when we put it in the context of time. We might say, yesterday I ran. Tomorrow I will run. Yesterday I walked. Tomorrow I plan to smile. I will smile. I have laughed before. So a simple way to identify a verb is to test to see if it will change over time. The to be verbs, the most common state of being verbs, function the same way. Today, I am tall. Tomorrow, I will be tall. Yesterday, I was tall. So again, we can hear a word being a verb as its form changes over time. So let's do a test with an actual sentence. Consider the sentence, "The snake was around her arm." Now, if I were to ask someone, what is the main verb of this sentence? That someone might say, well, if a verb is an action word, then the most action in this sentence seems to be around. So let's do our test. If around is a verb, then it will be a word that changes its form over time. Yesterday, I arounded. We can already hear it not being a verb. Today I am around. Tomorrow I will around. So clearly, around is not a verb because if we change its form over time, it becomes nonsensical. So let's try was. Now, most students would not identify was as a verb, but there's no harm in testing it out. So we might say, yesterday I was. Today I am. Tomorrow I will be. 3 different forms of the same word changing with regard to time. So let's review. In this lesson, we learned about the traditional regular verbs. Verbs like to run, to laugh, to dream, to smile. And we also learned a category called verbs that are a state of being. And the most common state of being verbs are that whole category of the verb to be. And we know them as am, is, are, was, and were. And then finally, we learned a new rule for identifying a verb, that a verb is a word whose form changes over time. Today, I run. Yesterday, I ran. Today, I dream. Yesterday, I dreamed. Today, she is impatient. Tomorrow, she will be impatient. Yesterday, she was also impatient.